Hi guys, so Donald Trump had his daily briefing today with his medical experts, and it's always an interesting case because Donald Trump's mouth starts to speak and hurtle down the road at 90 miles an hour before his brain realizes that the car's engine has been started. So he made this comment along with Deborah Briggs, who's the medical expert who accompanies him to these briefings. So he said, medical doctors should see if there's a way to apply light and heat to cure, the president said. He asked Dr. Deborah Briggs if that's possible. Fevers are the body's way to apply heat to treat itself, but she hasn't heard of it being used as a treatment, she responded. It's just a suggestion, Trump said. If heat is good and sunlight is good, that's a great thing as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so let's just dig a little bit deeper into what he's been saying here. Let's just imagine the scenario. So Donald Trump is sitting in his office and he's listening to some advice or some information being given by a medical expert, and he's not completely on board. He's not completely listening to what's being said. He's picking up bits of what's been talked about, and he's probably heard something about sunlight and how a fever increases the body temperature to attempt to in a way destroy a virus. And of course he hasn't the brains to let the doctor explain this, but he jumps forward and says, look, hey, I have a suggestion. Why haven't doctors thought of this? The idea that doctors are sitting around waiting for someone like Donald Trump, the stable genius Donald Trump, to come up with solutions. Doctors don't know these things. We need somebody like Donald Trump to jump into the fray and explain to these people things that they haven't tried. So he's probably been listening to these briefings within the White House, not the ones he's been given, but ones to him. And he's heard about, sunlight. Okay, sunlight produces vitamin D in the body, and vitamin D is used to increase antibodies, so it increases immunity. It helps the body repair itself. So, and there is a correlation between people who have higher levels of vitamin D and their ability to recover from the illness. So, but you can't inject vitamin D into people. You can't expose them to sunlight in order to cure the illness. They need to have a strong immunity before they get infected. Maybe Donald Trump doesn't understand this. And the same with heat. Okay, but the heat is related to the body developing heat in order to fight the virus. It's the body's own mechanisms. And in some cases, it's successful. That's when we get a fever. It's our body's attempt to destroy the virus by killing it with our body heat. But by applying heat from the outside, I don't think it works the same way. Or applying light, I don't know, maybe Donald Trump is convinced that if we put enough people under sunbeds or something, that will cure these people from the virus. Just insanity. Once again, Donald Trump has no understanding of what he's talking about, and his mouth speaks before his brain kicks in, and he's not embarrassed by this. This is the weird thing. If you have a medical expert here, somebody who has studied years and years and years, who has graduated from probably the best medical universities in the United States, who has probably been a professor of medicine also, someone who has a pretty good CV, they're standing beside you to answer the important questions that you can't answer. But Donald Trump doesn't understand this. Donald Trump believes he knows more than anyone else. I thought it was just a game. I thought it was just a political ploy. But now I'm convinced that he actually believes that he can make suggestions to the medical community. Suggestions that they would never have thought up themselves. They're just waiting for some genius like Donald Trump to come along and explain it to them all. If you find something else like this, please do share it in the comments section. I'd love to hear it. Thanks.
So supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number in the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.